Proud of the way our guys responded today after last week's disappointing loss against Dartmouth. I thought this week's practice was much more spirited. We got a lot of respect for Harvard and their program and what they're doing, and we knew it was going to take the best that we had today. And the one thing that we've been missing through the course of the early portion of the season is just a little bit more of an investment of their heart. We feel like emotionally we just haven't been there. We've competed, we've played, we've gone through the motions. We just haven't brought the extra added emotion that has been symbolic to Cornell teams in the past. And I just felt like this week, and in particular today, the guys played with a little bit more passion, got off to a great start, building the 5-1 lead, cheated off a little bit through the middle portions of that game. Credit Harper, because I thought they did a good job of kind of staying composed and played with a lot of poise in the second and third quarters. But then we were able to put ourselves in a position and made enough plays down the stretch to win that game. So it's a big win. Ivy League wins are tough to come by right now. We're fortunate enough to have gotten by today with a 13-12 victory.
How would you characterize Rob's performance today?
I said that to him. I've been around college lacrosse for about probably 20 years, playing and coaching, and that's about as clutch a performance as I've seen. I think he felt like he needed to take it upon himself today. After the Dartmouth game, he was clearly frustrated, practiced hard all week, and we tried to put the ball in his stick a little bit more early in the game to create some momentum. And then he got hurt right at the end of halftime. I didn't know if we were going to be able to ride him like we were early, and he definitely wore down, and that's just because we were asking him to do too much. But seeing what he did towards the end of that game, having enough, I don't know if it was courage or stamina, or maybe a combination of the two, but towards the end of the game, seeing him score that last goal to tie it, and then the game winner was just guts. So kudos to Rob. He's one of the most talented players I've ever been around. But I think in a situation like that, it takes a lot of courage to make those kinds of plays. And we're thankful he was on our sideline today, because I think he was by far the difference in the game.
The game that I've always been told about is the Lucas up at the Carrier Dome with the 7 goals that one year. I mean, did Rob reach that kind of level today in terms of individual impact on a game?
Yeah, I would say that's in the conversation. Joe Belucas' performance, that was one of the best. Yeah, that ranks up there as one of the all-time greats. It seemed like everything he shot went in, and we really needed him. We rode Rob today like we rode Joe Belucas in that particular game. So I would say that's a fair comparison of the two games. You take those guys out of each of these games, we're probably not anywhere close. So that's saying a lot, but I would say that's probably a fair comparison.
So it's 12-11. The face-off Gillum comes out with the ball, and then Rob's got a kind of a decision to make in an unsettled spot, whether to shoot or pull it out and try and get. What was your read on his decision there to take that shot?
He's the one guy, and there are times when I'm very hard on Robert for making some plays, because I think sometimes he pushes it too quickly, even though I think he can get to the goal. But there are also times in practice where we allow him, as a coaching staff, I in particular, allow him to do some things that we don't allow other guys to do, run through a double team, force a play or force a ball inside when it probably shouldn't be going in there, because he just has shown that he can make those plays. So when the ball comes down the point, he has the green light, as a feeder, as a shooter, and we trust that he's going to make the right play. And in a time like that, I'm not sure we'd want the ball in anybody's stick other than Rob Pennell, maybe Ryan or Hurley, but he just seemed to have that focus today, and he was riding that confidence. So, Ross Gillum just did a great job. He's certainly worth noting that he played so well today. And that face-off, after giving up 4 straight goals, to build a lead by 3, and then to give up 4, to give up 1-goal lead, just a tremendous job by him to win it, because I think we lost 4 in a row, 4 face-offs in a row. He comes in as a freshman, wins it, makes the right decision, and you can kind of panic a little bit coming down there. And I think his face-off and effort to even give Rob the ball was the key in that situation.
How would you describe Rob in terms of his riding game?
First time, I said it to Ben and Connor, it's the first time I think we've rolled the ball back. He causes 3 turnovers today. You look at his offensive stats, fantastic. Look at his defensive stats, he causes 3 turnovers. It's the first time I think as a team we put a little bit more emphasis and effort in the riding game. And I would say Rob, Scott Austin, and Ryan Hurley as a threesome did a great job. And again, we won a lot of balls back off the ground, which we hadn't been winning back. Rode the ball back a couple of times, and in a game like this, that's just the way we have to play. I said that at the paper the other day. We have to be able to hit singles in order to generate enough momentum to win with this team. And like I said to our guys last year, we would be able to go out in certain games and instances and not play necessarily to the best of our ability, or with that added incentive of energy or emotion that's so crucial that we saw in the playoff run through the course of the regular season. There were games that we didn't have that element, but still won by multiple goals. This team, we can't afford to. We can't afford not to ride. We can't afford not to pick up ground balls that are 50-50. We can't afford not to come out with raw emotion. We're just not good enough right now. But we play like that, we got a chance, I think, against anybody.
What led to you giving Matt the start in goal?
Probably because AJ just didn't practice for the majority of the week. AJ was hurt, so missed 3 practices. He came in late in the week, Thursday. Matt, I think they were both pretty similar in terms of their success rate up until that point. I think a guy misses 3 practices. His backup, who's his equal, certainly based on his performance, certainly deserved an opportunity as a junior, and based on the way he'd been playing in the second half of 2 of the last 3 games. So he just felt like good chance to get him in there. He'd been playing well.
What do you think? Harvard had the 2 4-goal spurts in the second half. What was your assessment of what went on during those runs?
It was a game of runs. I felt like we had a 4-goal spurt early in the game. Then later in the game, they had one. Then we had one. Then they had one, and then we had the last 2 goals of the game. I'm not sure. Face-offs had a big thing to do with it. We just couldn't get the darn ball on our offensive end in their last 4-goal run. They won 4 straight face-offs. And did a good job. I'm sure they played with a little bit more urgency, knowing that they're down. They went to the goal a little bit quicker and a little bit harder, and it gave our defense a little bit of trouble. We did a couple things towards the end that we probably wouldn't have wanted to do in terms of our slide package, which we felt created some shot opportunities for Harvard. But to their credit, they took advantage of everything that we did down the stretch. And then we won a couple faceoffs at the end of the game. One to give Robert a chance to score in a fast break. One to secure possession of the ball, and then the last one with 11 seconds left to win it. I think that was probably the biggest difference in those runs. Is possession of the ball was just so key, and face-offs seemed to play such a critical part in that.
Does that make the win a little bit better in your eyes because you guys had to respond to those types of situations?
It does. We called a timeout. I can't even remember what the score was. It was late in the game. I don't know if the score was tied or they were up by a goal at that point. It was after or during their run, and I just said to them, "Look, nothing worthwhile comes easy. This will make this opportunity that much sweeter if we have to fight through this adversity." And we kind of figured coming into this that it was going to take some of that resiliency, which we had not shown in large doses this year. So I think it was good. Hopefully it'll allow our guys to grow up a little bit, keep them hungry as we go into the Syracuse game in the latter part of the season, knowing that if we continue to practice with that kind of emotion, practice with that kind of a competitive nature, that we got a chance to keep growing like we thought we would earlier in the season.
Any unsung guys that you kind of brought up in the locker room?
I thought David Lau played very well. John Thompson, who has not played a lot for us, came out and scored 2 big goals. Both those guys had 2 big goals for us. And Ross Gillum, I think all those guys really contributed a lot to today's game, and they're not going to stand out so much in the stat sheet. But 2-2 at 1 was pretty good. And then Jack Dudley was probably the last guy. Jack Dudley, he wins the hammer today. He wins the Ivy League Win Award today just because he just brings it every day. Scored a big goal, had been a defensive mid for us, moved to the offensive end. And when he scored, the entire team, the entire bench went to the box and congratulated him. And I just think he provided such a spark today that just with that one goal, it doesn't pop out of the stat sheet, but it really got everybody focused and energy on the sidelines, which was great.
Why'd you think they responded to him specifically that way?
He's just one of those kids, and every team probably has a couple of guys like that just work so hard. Then you can say this about a lot of guys. He's a selfless player. He's he's committed to the team before he is himself, but he's just that guy. That's Jack Dudley. He carries the hard hat for a good reason, and he brings it every day, and he's so committed to his teammates that his guys responded to him, knowing how committed he is to them each and every day. There's never a day that he gets outworked. Now, guys may work as hard as he does, like Pierce Jerkak works as hard as he does every day, but nobody outworks Jack any day. He's a special kid.